Day 2. One of the main things that I wanted to tackle today was an honest assessment of how much time I have to do the things that I'm trying to do, because I do have a stacked plate. So the plan is that I'm going to use this pie chart to kind of create for me a daily time block situation where I know how much time I have to add to each endeavor, so that way I can stay on track of what I'm up to and really come through on the things that I'm trying to do. So for me personally, some of the things that I know I need to take care of off the back, I know I need to sleep, the personal care of showering and eating and cooking for myself and things like that, my daily household chores that I do to maintain the partnership that I have. I want to make sure I have time to spend with my loved ones, a little bit of time for me. I do definitely think that as I get busier, a lot of times I tend to work out more because it actually helps me execute better. And then after that, I have work, school, the volunteer work that I'm currently doing, and then Farrell. So the idea is that we're going to delegate time off for all these things, Farrell being last, so that way we can actually give it the majority bulk of it all. So for health, I feel like I only need 30 minutes to work out off the back. You don't need to do too much, but if you do it daily, whether you're doing cardio or you're doing weights, whatever, I think 30 minutes is enough. So that leaves me another 30 minutes to kill, and I'm going to use that 30 minutes for me time, for me to do whatever nonsense I would like to do, because you have to have time for yourself as well. And that way it would be more of do the 30-minute workout, and then after that you get to do whatever thing for you, whether it's read a comic book or whatever. After that, another big block that I know there's nothing I can do about is work. I work 8 hours on average, sometimes a little bit more, very rarely a little bit less, but let's go ahead and just assume 8 hours a day will be spent at work. After work, I'm gonna say 2 hours for school. Need to maintain the education that I'm getting, so definitely 2 hours I think is enough. If I'm doing it daily, that's 14 hours a week. I think that's fairly doable. So for the volunteer work, I'm gonna add 1 hour a day. So that's already half of the day gone on just those few items. And this is just to show you how when you time block, you're not literally saying I'm gonna spend the whole day to fix this one thing, but rather every day there's gonna be this certain time that's allocated for these functions. And as much as I can get done in those days is how much I'm gonna do, so that sometimes you can finish a project quickly and then you're left with 40 more minutes. That doesn't mean those 40 minutes go to whatever you want. It goes back into the next thing, right? So house chores is another thing that just because I finished the one task, that doesn't mean I'm done, especially not if I allocate a certain amount of time for those chores. But speaking of the chores, how much time for house chores? I think it's safe to assume that 2 hours to, make sure that I do my part for the house is adequate time, especially if I work very, concentrated on it. So now we're down to the last 3. And obviously, like I said, I want Farrell to be the last one. But I think that sleep will be the last one, because I don't think sleep is that much needed in life. I think I have enough coffee in my cupboards that I will be able to last a good while without sleep. So the next thing up is personal care. How much time do I honestly think I can spend, how much time do I spend cooking and then, showering, which is what I'm referring to as personal care. I want to say that for the most part, I think I can get away with 1 hour and 30 minutes for personal care. Cooking 1 meal a day and just having, some cold cuts or something for lunch, and, breakfast being whatever, oatmeal, whatever nonsense I end up putting together. I think that's absolutely doable. And so that 1 hour and 30 minutes sounds feasible to me. That's 15 hours and 30 minutes. So that only leaves me with 2.5 hours for Farrell work, which I think that's a lot more time than I have been dedicating, if I'm being honest. And so in 2.5 hours, I think we're gonna start getting a lot of things done. So that leaves me with 6 hours to sleep. And mind you, this is just me assessing and thinking about what it's gonna look like going into it. But obviously, these things can change. I'm gonna try this out for 30 days and see whether or not I like the results, which is kind of the way I always function, is I try to give things enough time to really be able to gauge and assess whether or not it was useful and beneficial to me. And if it turns out that it wasn't, then I'll just redo the plan and I'll rework it and I'll figure out what I can drop and what I need to add or subtract to this plan. This is for the day-to-day kind of thing. And so on the weekends, I definitely do think that I'll spend more time to myself, going out with my wife, doing fun things, more than just continuously obsessing about certain things. like, you do need time for yourself, and I'm definitely making sure that my weekends moving forward are going to be allocated to that, to rest and relaxation, and just spending time with my loved one, and just me and her having as good a time as we can, and trying to just laugh, live, and love. You know what I mean? But that's what I was trying to do today, and I'm glad that we got this done. This is day 2, so definitely we're gonna just keep this thing up. Once again, if you guys are interested in seeing someone open up a retail space during these weird, crazy, economic, turbulent times, subscribe to the channel, and go ahead and like the video and let people know what we're up to. Lates.